Okay, welcome in everybody to another edition of the Hoops Betting Hour. I am the big man on campus. He's Donnie Whiteside. We are powered by Pickswise and presented by Fanduel. Hope you're all having a great day. It's Thursday, March 11th. A lot to get to, a lot of games. The games are coming together, Donnie. Teams are losing. The bigger teams and better teams are coming in. A lot of conference tournaments still to be decided. A lot of conference tournaments just getting started as well. We got a lot to do. How you doing this morning?
Well, Jeff, we had teams that hit 100 points, and we had teams that tried hard and couldn't hit half of that number yesterday on the docket all the way around. You want to talk about maybe no fans in the stands and neutral court sites. You had your pick of everything. North Carolina running up and down the court. I watched the end of the Iona-Siena game, and I couldn't believe what I was watching because it's one of those things where if you're not watching live, which was on ESPN+, you're following through. And it's like 5 minutes into the second half, like 27-22. What? I mean, did they have 16-foot rims, Jeff?
Yeah, it was ugly, and we'll get to that. I mean, you talk about the teams that scored a lot of points. I mean, Wyoming had 111 yesterday. UNC had, into the hundreds. Colgate. I mean, it was something. And you know what's crazy, Donnie? A couple of the games that we talked about yesterday were the ones where they couldn't score. It's crazy. But we'll get to all that and more. Hope you're all having a great day. As I said, you get your coffee ready. You're ready to go here. This is our show that we have where we get you on the right side, as Donnie's name talks about. We talk about all the games, all the conference tournaments. As I said, a lot to go over. Welcome in, everybody checking out the show already. If you're in here, make sure you hit the subscribe button so you never miss a show. That's important. That's all we ask from you in here. We don't ask you for anything else. Just come in, hit that subscribe button so you never miss a show. And you never miss Donnie and I and all of our future content here at Pickswise. Donnie, how was your evening last night? What you said you watched some games. What were you rooting in? I think you were on that Colgate game, no?
Yeah, I was on the Colgate game, and it's kind of interesting the way the game started because I'm looking at Colgate had a pregame team total here at FanDuel, like 87, 86.5 points as it got closer to closing. And I'm saying, you know what, that's a little bit high. Let me flip it over to the Bucknell side. And I'm watching early on. I'm like, Colgate cannot be stopped. I mean, understandably here in a COVID year where they didn't play a true round robin, Jeff, in the Patriot League, you said, maybe those numbers are a little bit hollow. They weren't hollow. Colgate was absolutely amazing. And it took a 3-ball with a minute to go to get that team total because it's always funny, Jeff, when you have a 72.5 team total. They're at 72 with a minute and a half. One team doesn't care about the game. And Bucknell's like, I'll throw up a couple threes and see what happens. Thank goodness they hit that one. But I tell you where I was wrong. The same way, Notre Dame. I thought they would still have a nice bump from getting that Wake Forest win. UNC, we knew they would have tempo. They blew the doors off them, but Notre Dame just went dead in the second half once the game was out of reach. That was my night, but it's always fun to still talk about it, Jeff, and recap here. And Jeff brought up a great point here. We don't ask for much. It was at 1.25 subs here when we first started the show. We're at 1.5. So you guys are doing exactly what we asked. Coming in the chat box, having fun, hitting that subscribe button, turning your notification bells on because when the Big Man on Campus goes live at 9 a.m. in March Madness, you want to hear it, Jeff. Let's also talk about another one here. The team that's laying back in the weeds, the team that has a lot of lovers and a lot of haters, those Duke Blue Devils running through the ACC with a big victory over Louisville, Jeff. Are they making a run?
Well, they might be. I was pretty, look, the one knock yesterday was could Louisville beat them 3 times? That's tough to do, and they weren't up to the test. It's a tough year for Louisville, man. They just can't get out of their own way. It seems like every time you have a little bit of interest in them, they kind of figure out a way to get back and screw you a little bit. But I'll tell you what, Mark Williams for Duke was terrific. Where did he come from? The freshman, Mark Williams, 23 points. I think he had 19 rebounds. It's pretty
huge.
Incredible. That's when you can get kids that come out of nowhere like that in March, that's the difference between winning and losing. Again, Donnie, it's surviving and advance in these tournaments, man. Look at like last night. And when we get in, actually, I'll leave that for when we get into the bad offenses. But, with Duke, big game today. If they can beat Florida State, I think they're probably in the NCAA tournament. It's a big game. So, I've been impressed by them. Mark Williams was out of nowhere incredible last night.
Every time I had the TV on, Jeff, and I was looking up, the kid was dunking the basketball. I mean, a force down low really came to play, and we're going to hear that same concept all through these shows. It's nice when if shots aren't going down, you get the extra rebounds, because even flipping it over into the ACC, Jeff, UNC, as somebody said in the chat box, I mean, really out-rebounded the heck out of Notre Dame in that game. Extra chances, extra putbacks always help here. But when we talk about extra, Jeff, some teams weren't going extra last night. And I know we like to take a look at it because transparency, we like to look at certain games. And once the tournament starts next week, Jeff is going to be on the clock here giving out best bets in an actual tournament that we're going to talk about, a Cappers contest, in just a few moments here. But when you look at those games, it's no surprise. Like a lot of the MAC can be an ugly conference, talking about the Metro Atlantic, where they're playing in Atlantic City. We had some high-scoring games, but we always have the lower end of the dregs in that conference tournament, and it just wasn't Siena's night. And also, Jeff, how about this? The number 1 seed was Siena. The number 9 seed was Iona. Iona was the favorite. This COVID year is crazy.
Well, look, I mean, Donnie, the truth of the matter is, like, when you bet a game, man, like, you do all you can, but you don't account for a team. I mean, Siena went 8 minutes in the second half without scoring. I mean, from like the 8:30 mark to the 30-second mark, they couldn't score. Like, you're not going to win games doing that, regardless of whether the game's played in the 40s. You got to score eventually, and they couldn't do it. Donnie, also, they were 7 for 16 from the free throw line and lost by 3.
Yeah, come on, man.
I mean, that's the difference, man. Like, you can't do that in these tournaments. And look at Iona, 20 for 24. That's the reason they won. You can say anything you want about the droughts or whatever. At the end of the day, if they'd have made 11 out of 16 instead of 7 out of 16, they'd have won the game. So you have to make free throws. And if you don't, you will not win. And that's, probably on me, man. I mean, Siena's a team that is 65.8% from the line. That's not good. That's 312th in America. If you long-term bet on teams like that, you're not going to win. You're just going to – and you're going to look at the end of the game and say, I knew I was going to lose. Why did I bet that team that only makes 60% of their free throws? It's just how it goes. But I do want to make one point, Donnie, as well. In North Carolina, look, I kind of mentioned yesterday, I didn't kind of understand where Notre Dame would get stops in this game, and they didn't. I mean, as you said, 25 offensive rebounds for one team, and that's incredible. 25 offensive rebounds. They had 1.42 points per possession. 1.4 is about as good as it gets. That's incredible. I saw that score. I couldn't believe it. I thought it was one of those how sometimes the score apps are like messed up. They don't score. I thought it was messed up and it was like 61-58 or something. Then I find out, wow, it's actually the score. Yeah, that was impressive. Notre Dame couldn't stop North Carolina down low.
Couldn't stop anybody. You guys know with the show flow, like to do a little recaps, talk a little bit of conference tournament action that's just kicking off underway. And then the end of the show, we leave about 20 minutes to go over the entire card or any questions that you guys have moving forward to it. So we do have some things that we do like to get into. And as we talk about some of these conference tournament previews, as we get into in just a moment, one quick question here, Jeff. Watching the Big East yesterday, Butler's been terrible all year long. Butler should have not won the game last night. Xavier, I don't know what the deal is with them this year. They lose yesterday. That's a terrible loss. My question to you, Xavier, hanging by a thread, needs a ton of help. Looking at it just right now on Thursday morning, in or out for Xavier?
They're out. They're done. I mean, they have no one to blame but themselves. This is the issue with Steele's team, man. Like all you have to do is not lose to Butler. A team without Aaron Thompson, their best player. I mean, there's just no excuse for it, man. I mean, it's just ugly stuff. And you cannot give them – and Stanford's another one. Stanford loses to Cal. Cal lost 7 straight games. You lose to Cal? What the hell's going on? I mean, it's just – you can't reward those teams, Donnie. You cannot reward those teams. No. Xavier is out. One other thing, Donnie, real quick before we get into the other stuff. Colgate – listen, I had Bucknell last night, plus 14. That game was over at 2 minutes into the game. I mean, it was done. I didn't – did you watch that? You watched that, didn't you?
I did watch the game, yes. Yeah,
that was – I mean, Colgate couldn't miss, and Bucknell couldn't make anything. The fact that you hit your team total –
amazing.
Yeah, you should kiss the ring, man, because it was something. Like something for a long period of time in the first half. I mean, I've never seen a team just puncture another team the way they did. Bucknell couldn't stop anything. everything was a wide open layup for Colgate. It was incredible.
Yeah, no, that's a pretty good team to watch out for. And if they do make it to the tournament, look, in this season where you get surprise teams and not a lot of practice in the offseason, they're one of those teams that can surprise because, again, only had 13 games on the season, Jeff, I believe, coming into last night. But let's get after it here, talk about some conference action. But before we do that, we always talk about, hey, Jeff, I'm a better capper than you, or this guy over here is running his mouth. Well, we have the chance to settle this. The Pickswise Capper Contest is a winner-take-all event that will be taking place through March Madness. 9 experts will give out their best bets each and every day of the tournament. So when I see in the chat box here, hey, Jeff, we need some best bets, trust me, they are coming once March Madness, the tournament begins. The expert with the most profit at the end will win a $10,000 cash prize. The tournament features John Rothstein, Richard Phillips, Megan making money from the Fanduel Sportsbook, and our man, the big man on campus, Jeff Nadu. There is currently one spot available, and Pickswise is running a contest to fill the remaining spot, and it could be you. To enter, head over to the Pickswise Twitter, retweet the contest, reply why you want this spot. It's really that simple. Do you want to make some money? Do you want to butt heads with the big man on campus and try to take him down and win a $10,000 pool? This is for you. There's a link in the description below. Jeff, look, when you're sitting on top of the hill, people trying to get up that hill to get after you.
Yeah, listen, maybe one of you will be the winner. That would be real impressive if you beat me. I'll throw in another $100 if you beat me. That's anybody that listens to the show. I'll throw in another $100. So you'll make $10,100 if you beat me. But yeah, that's a great contest. It's going to be fun. Got some good people over there, but they're not me. So yeah, it'll be fun. Hopefully last night's games aren't involved because I wasn't very good last night. But
nope, the prep we talk about this week, Jeff, is the primer week because this show is centered around March Madness. We'll see if we can pick up some money here over Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and also on Selection Sunday. Thank you guys for coming to the chat box and saying hello today. Close to 100 people already watching this early in the morning, Jeff. Some people on the West Coast, 6 a.m., they are riding with us, and we do thank you for that. But let's talk about some tournaments that are just getting underway. Return of the MAC. We talked a lot about the Metro Atlantic taking place in Atlantic City, but now we have the Mid-American Conference and looking at some of the top dogs, a well-balanced conference this year, Jeff. Toledo, 15-4, Buffalo, 12-5, Kent State, 12-6, Akron, 12-6, Ohio, 9-5, Bowling Green, 10-8, Miami, Ohio, 9-8. A lot of competitiveness, and just like in MAC football, it's a wild conference with a lot of upsets, Jeff. How about a little primer here on the Mid-American Conference?
It's a Donnie Michigas, as they say.
Yes,
up in maybe, I don't know, Crown Heights, Brooklyn, somewhere like that. They call it a Michigas. That's a complete mess. That's what the MAC is. There's a lot of good teams, and there's a lot of teams that can win this conference. It wouldn't surprise me if an Ohio win this conference or, or somebody like that. Then you got the big boys, And let me just talk about some of the teams that kind of I think are the favorites. Toledo is interesting. One of the better offenses you'll find. They have a kid, Marion Jackson. He's terrific. They can really shoot. One of the best offensive teams in America, frankly. But I think for them that the issues are going to come defensively, which is generally when you have a good offensive team, the issues come on the defensive end. They've also, when you look at their numbers, Toledo's only allowed opponents to shoot 29% from three. Now, that's very good. It means they're closing out on shooters and that kind of stuff. But what happens, Donnie, when you get a Colgate type of team that starts making those shots? I think it's going to be game over because I don't think they can stop anybody, and that's concerning to me. I bet on Buffalo a couple of times this year. It was basically a win some, lose some kind of proposition. But I'll tell you right now, we've talked about betting on teams that are playing well. Not a lot of teams playing better in this conference than Buffalo. They have one loss since February 2nd. They've won 5 overall, 5 in a row overall. One thing I love about Buffalo, Donnie, they are a big, big team. They're tough. They play hard, really bruising group. They rebound the hell out of the ball. 5th in the country in offensive rebounding percentage, which we've seen in games, Donnie. Look at that game last night with North Carolina. If you can rebound the basketball, you can really exert your will on teams. I like what they do. They're a little concerning offensively at times. They just kind of go on these streaks where they can't score. But right now, Donnie, last 5 games offensively, 102, 85, 86, 80, 81. What do all those scores have in common? They're all high, okay? Yeah. This team is finding their way right now. I like Buffalo here. I'll throw one other team out that I have an eye on, Bowling Green, this Falcon group. I remember I wrote I think it was 9,000 words, Donnie. It was a blog I wrote when I was
with Daquan Plowden.
Yes, and I talked about when I picked the MAC, I talked about Daquan Plowden and Bowling Green. I thought they were the pick to win this conference. They had some growing pains at times, but they're playing pretty well here. They've won 4 or 5 overall. Not going to do anything to wow you. Just kind of average on both ends. But Turner is one of the best players in the conference, and they've had some kids really come on recently. They don't turn it over. They're really good at protecting the ball, and they turn you over, which could really kind of bother you in a big game. So I'm going to look to Buffalo as kind of my team that I'm picking. I think Bowling Green could be interesting as well. But this is a tough conference, man. The MAC always is tough. I don't know if there's a conference I bet on game to game less than the MAC. It's just kind of one of those conferences I avoid, but it's a good one.
No, absolutely. I mean, take a look at the conference too, because we all know the ultimate equalizer in a lot of these, forget about like the big Power 5 conferences, the ACC, the SEC, and those. When you look at the Mid-American Conference, the flamethrowers from 3-point range usually lead the conference. Look at Toledo, Jeff. Almost 39% on the season from 3-point range. Miami of Ohio, 36.4. Looks like Ball State 36, he's just behind there. Northern Illinois 35.1. Always keeps you in the game here with these. And they're getting started. We got 11 a.m. game today, so we're going to hit it right off the bat in just a few moments as we start talking about it. But is there a deep shot, Jeff, in this conference? We say, you know what? Maybe one of these teams can get hot and make a run, because we've seen it quite a bit here.
Yeah, it's a good question. Obviously you're not going to have like the really bad teams like Northern Illinois, and they're out, thank God. I mean, what a dreadful team they are. That's a good question. I think Bowling Green's a pretty deep one. I mean, if I'm looking at deep, I don't really want Miami and I Ball State doesn't do a whole lot for me. I think Ohio's interesting as well with Jason Preston, the LaMelo Ball clone. He really kind of
he is.
Looks like a LaMelo Ball. He plays like LaMelo Ball. They're really dynamic on the offensive end. But if there's any team in this league, Donnie, that struggles defensively, it's Ohio. I mean, they just don't get many stops. If they can't get turnovers and turn you over, I mean, it's a layup line for the most part. So, luckily, one thing I like about the MAC is we don't have to deal with the Michigan schools, which that's good news. They suck, and Northern Illinois is out. So, it's a league that anyone can win, but I'll throw it to like a Buffalo or a Bowling Green. I think that's as deep as sleepers I'm looking to go.
Yeah, Buffalo makes a lot of sense too, Jeff, because you talk about a team with tempo. And what we mean by that is, the way they want to get out and run. If your jump shots aren't working, what's the best way to get ahead of the defense? 2-on-1 breakaways, 3-on-1 breakaways, wide open looks there. And also keep in mind, in conference play, Jeff, the number one defensive efficient team is Buffalo. So it gives you a good shot, because when we see games like in the Metro Atlantic where nobody can make a shot, it's nice to lean on when your defense is really good and you have a fast break game. So that's something to keep an eye on. Go ahead.
So true. That's so true. And, you look at their 3-point defense. I mean, there's some good 3-point. Toledo I mentioned, but Buffalo is even better. Buffalo is number 3 in the country in 3-point defense. I mean, what it means is they're closing out on shooters. They have long guards and kind of make it difficult to shoot up and over on the perimeter. They're an experienced team with a lot of continuity. And as you said, they play defense. They get out, They get after you, they get in your grill. I'm going to say this many times. They have a kid, Donnie, Josh Mbala. He was at Texas Tech for 1 year, didn't get a lot of run down with Beard, so he transferred into Buffalo. He's from France. He is one of the best offensive rebounders I've ever seen. I mean, he is just a bull down low. Speaking of bulls, Buffalo Bulls, he is a bull, man. He grabs the basketball. He creates more possessions. The more possessions you get, Donnie, the more opportunities you have for more shots and the more chances you have for more scoring. This is my team. I'm going with the team, as you said, that defend. Donnie, look at that comment there on the screen.
Go.
BMOC looks different. Is that really him? No, it's actually a clone.
We have screen filters. What are you kidding me? This is 2021 now. It's not BMOC.
Does this look like me? I used to be so fat.
No, absolutely. Look, a lot of good chat box questions coming in here. How about Caroline says, I hit on Miami money line, ISU points, and K-State money line, also FAU. So bring in the heat early in the morning for Caroline. But you know what we're going to bring the heat on, Jeff? The AAC as it gets underway. Heavy favorite here in this conference. Houston at minus 185. Take a look at the FanDuel Sports odds. Wichita State, plus 420, Memphis plus 490, SMU plus 750, and then we get into the deeper shots here with Cincinnati at a 20-1. Looking at this conference here now, as I slide it, I got to slide all the way down, Jeff. I'll keep sliding and sliding and sliding to that team on North Broad at 120-1.
Yeah, it's someone asked, I think earlier to you who your college basketball team is, and
yeah.
I think you and I have always had an affinity, at least when we could go to games. Donnie and I would always go to Temple games together.
Easy to get to, easy to get tickets.
Bam. Yeah, and since I was a kid, I've rooted for Temple. I remember growing up, watching Lynn Greer and Wadley and those guys go to the Elite Eight back in 2001 with the legend John Chaney. Rest in peace to John. But it's a different group now. Temple's struggling, Temple's rebuilding. It's been a tough year, man. A lot of COVID pauses, had started late, just kind of a messy year. And for Aaron McKee, it was tough because they just didn't really have a lot of cohesion, man. They were a team that just very few of them played together last year. A lot of kids left the program. It's going to take some time, man. It really is. And McKee knows that. They're 100-1 for a reason. They really struggled towards the end of the year. They might win a game, but it's going to take some time to get back into the forefront again. The John Chaney years are many years ago.
No, you're certainly correct on that, and hopefully some better times are ahead, and we'll see what Aaron McKee's able to do. And you talked about it yesterday. Maybe another guy on one of those staffs could have stepped in who's doing a damn good job over at Colgate. So we'll see if it turned around. We're always root for the city teams here. It's a lot of fun when they're in it. Big Five basketball, plus Drexel, as we like to say, who Drexel's actually going dancing this year, which is good stuff. But talk about some of the favorites here, Jeff. Give me a favorite in this. Obviously, we know Houston is the big favorite. Is there a team that can overtake Houston? Maybe somebody will be on upset alert, or is Houston just the best team in this conference? They're going to take down not only obviously getting a bid, but the automatic bid, taking it away from the conference as well.
Well, yeah, I think we saw it the other day, last Sunday, with Memphis. Memphis had them on the ropes. They were winning most of that game. Ended up losing on that crazy buzzer beater by Houston at the half-court line, which, Dottie, I had Memphis plus 10, and the last thing I wanted to see was overtime.
Yeah, you loved it. You loved the three.
I was loving it. So it's like, yeah.
Yeah.
But, yeah, Memphis, I think, is still got a little bit of a heartbeat to make the NCAA tournament. I don't think they're going to do it, but, a couple of wins in this conference and maybe one more shot at Houston might seal the deal. Donnie, Memphis is a team like Texas, who we talked about yesterday. When they step on the court, Memphis, most of the time they're the most athletic team, okay? If it comes down to athletes, Memphis is a top 5 team.
Yeah.
But again, it comes down to, can you score? Can you defend? Can you all that stuff? Defensively, Memphis is better than anybody in this conference, in my opinion. I love Memphis on the defensive end. Long, athletic, just freak athletes. But offensively, time and time again, this has been my issue with Penny Hardaway. There's no offense run by this team a lot of the time. It's, run around and just take bad shots. They've got to establish a point guard. I think they have. But, and their offense has gotten a lot better. They've played a lot better towards the end of the year. Up until that Houston game, they had been playing really, really well. The defense is going to keep them in the game a lot of the time. They rebound the ball at a real high level. But outside of that, they turn the ball over way too much. They don't have really a consistent source of offense. I guess it's the three-point shot, which has been a great equalizer for them. And it's gotten better in conference, their offense. But I just need to see some consistency. And, Donnie, they shoot it at 60% from the free throw, one of the worst in America. So I think they can get a shot at Houston. But I'm looking at the price at $375. I wish it were just a bit higher. Because you have to look at your opportunity and say, if we get to a title game, can I get some of my money back on hedging this? If Houston play Memphis straight up, they're, I don't know, probably 7.5, 8-point favorites at this point in a championship game. I guess there's a little bit there. I would lean Memphis, but outside of that, I have no interest in anyone else.
Yep, getting underway today. And how about this? Greg's checking in. Love seeing Philly representing. And Al Studer says, great show, guys. It's what we do. Have a lot of fun here. Over 100 people watching the show currently live. Thank you for doing that. Thumbs up, much appreciated. Hey, even a thumbs down, as long as we get that interaction, is what we're looking forward to. So hit that subscribe button. If you are not watching live, which a lot of people still napping out there on the West Coast, they're going to tune in a little bit later. You can still hit that thumbs up. You can still hit that thumbs down. We're not going to have a live chat box, but there is a comment section that the Big Man on Campus does peruse all the way through. Let's talk another conference here, Jeff. And I always like my phrase here is always like near and dear to my heart. Like, you know what? I like this conference, even though a lot of people don't like this conference, or I like this team. I don't care if another person doesn't like this team. I do. The MEAC and the Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference, Norfolk State, Coppin State, Morgan State, Dell State. What are we looking at in this conference, which good luck on capping some of these as I see the scores coming down and who can win and who can't, because these are the type of leagues to me I look at and be like, boy, you might be able to take a deep shot at some of these teams.
Yeah, you just talked about near and dear to your heart. I love the MEAC. I've said that many times. This is one of my favorite conferences. I think this is the true essence of what basketball is. A lot of these kids, at least 90% of these kids, aren't going to another level. This is their opportunity right here. And I want to highlight, Donnie, there's a couple of teams that aren't involved here. There's a couple of teams that didn't even have a season, like Bethune-Cookman. They didn't even have a season. You're not going to see like the Delaware States or the Maryland Eastern Shore never had a season either. So there's some teams cut down here, and a couple of groups get buys. Coppin, North Carolina A&T. There is one game today, or sorry, two games today with NC Central, North Carolina State, and Morgan State, Florida A&M. So you're right. Where do you go here? Because there's a lot of teams that probably can win this conference, and everyone's probably involved. Donnie, I'm going to go to the longest shot on the board because I just want to talk about them right away. North Carolina Central is 750 to plus 750, so 7.5 to 1, almost 8 to 1, which is really a dangerous price if you're, if you're out there looking around. That's a dangerous price because when you look at North Carolina Central, I don't care what anybody says. They have the best coach, not only in the conference, but I think he's one of the best in America. Moten is very good. And it's been a long season for this team, Donnie. I mean, they had at one point a 50-day shutdown. Then they had another shutdown. It's just been a mess, man. But when I look at North Carolina Central, this is a new lease on life, right? This is an opportunity to – and Moten will tell his team this. This is a new lease on life. Who cares about what happened? We've had the shutdowns. We've had the tough season. We've had the ESPN documentary following us around, but this is a new season. This is our opportunity for some of our seniors to move on. We didn't have a tournament last year. We should have been in the tournament. We didn't have it. We're the third most experienced team in America. This is it. At that price, I'm playing that. And if I can find I'm playing that. I know this isn't, this is not an easy conference to find, but CJ Kaiser is really good. He's a great player. I know they're not jumping out to anybody because they had a tough season, but when I tell you they had the worst COVID issues in the country, I mean that. I mean, Donnie, just case in point, one more time. They played 2 games, November 25th and 26th. They had a shutdown until December 7th, where they played 2 games on the 7th and 12th. Then they didn't play again to the 29th of January. Then they had a shutdown in February. I mean, it's just crazy. I'm looking at North Carolina Central, a team that's won this conference many times over the last 10 years. I'm looking at them to take a bite out of this conference. Keep it on Coppin as well. Coppin is probably the team that you probably want to look at as kind of the favorite, if you will. Juan Dixon's done a great job down there. They actually run offense there, which is unheard of in the MEAC. It's a lot of just running around and bad shooting, but Coppin's done a nice job. They've got good players. They've got kids that can play at the next level and at other levels. Keep an eye on Coppin as well. This is a great conference. Anyone can win, and that's why I'm going with, to me, the most experienced team and the team that I think is going to turn it on when it matters most.
If the games are on the board, we are going to talk about those. And as a lot of people always tell me, Jeff, just get to the games. Let's break it down. Well, now it's time. We are going to do that. We're going to start with a 4-pack here. But before we do that, and then open up the board right here on the Hoops Betting Hour with Jeff Nadu, powered by Pickswise and also the Fanduel Sportsbook. We got a little bit of messaging here for you because we're talking about games that you want to get down on, right? Well, you need somewhere to get down on. Before we get into today's action, let's tell you right now about a great way to boost your bankroll for March. For new FanDuel Sportsbook customers, you can get a $1,000 risk-free bet when you sign up today. You can use it on any college basketball game or futures market throughout the month of March, including this week's conference tournament. Sign up using the link down below in the description and claim it now. Customers must be at least 21 years old to be present in one of the legal online betting states: New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Illinois, Colorado, Indiana, Michigan, Virginia, Tennessee, West Virginia, or Iowa. See full terms at the FanDuel Sportsbook website. And please remember to gamble responsibly. And also, you know what's fun about this, Jeff, on FanDuel? If you notice, like a lot of us are really into fantasy football or really into betting props in football. You say, hey, that's pretty cool. Like Patrick Mahomes throw for 350 plus yards, or will somebody score the first touchdown? They've introduced on FanDuel, Jeff, you can now do that in college basketball. So some of the bigger games of the day, they have player props that you can get down on. So more ways to get some action down. But always, Jeff, as I like to say, top right-hand corner here, bet responsibly.
Yes, always bet responsibly. Make sure you're not getting in your feelings too much. There's always another game to pick about. Just because the game's on at 11 doesn't mean you have to bet it. But if you have an edge, run with it. None of us have a crystal ball. But somebody also, Matt Lavin, saying, I have a feeling Jeff is loving Colgate for a possible run. Well, look, man. I like Colgate for sure. It's all going to be about matchups. And Monday's show, Donnie, is going to be a big-time bracket breakdown. I think that's going to be a good show to do that on. And then probably we'll have a couple of days off. But, yeah, I'm going to really be looking at – look, Donnie, the most important thing is you got to win on Sunday. Loyola Maryland's playing some pretty good basketball right now. So I wouldn't count my
chicken. These aren't at-large bids, man. This is a one-bid league. So we're talking about, we do think Colgate, obviously showing last night who the king of the hill is in that conference. But we've seen it before. You got to win this. Hey, look at Belmont. Hey, Belmont's got – nope, they're not even going dancing at this point.
Colgate, I know they have their net rating is high, but it's like if Colgate doesn't beat Loyola, they're not getting into the tournament. Give me a break. Stop. One other one. Jeff, would you sell your Loyola future if they make a deep run or hold and hope they win it? Well, no, I'm going to – listen, if they can get past that second-round game against a 1 seed likely, yes, I'm selling it at that point.
Yes.
Or close to it. 300 to 1. I mean, I can make a nice profit back on it. Somebody sold that one yesterday, Donnie. I saw it was 150 to 1, and they made a nice profit. So
did they? How about that? Yeah.
I saw it. Yeah. So okay, let's get into some games here, Donnie. We got we'll take some of your questions at the end. Hold off on those for right now. We'll get to them, but what do we got, Donnie?
Exactly. We're going to go right in order of time today on the 4 games that Jeff picked out. And then you guys knows we will hit as many of the chat box as we can get. We got a half hour to go, so we can cover a lot of these games in a huge Thursday card, which I'm really looking forward to. So let's get after it right away, Jeff. 12 o'clock noon, we're going to head to the ACC. 679, 680 on the rotation. If we take a look here at FanDuel, they opened up Virginia and Syracuse, with Virginia as a favorite at -5.5. That number is now sitting at 5, so a little bit of movement down. In over-under opened up at 133, Jeff. We now sit at 132. Syracuse with an offensive explosion to start the tournament. Now it gets a little bit tougher because you have slow as molasses and very good defense Virginia on deck. Can Syracuse make enough shots to beat this team, or is Virginia just going to grind this pace to a halt? And we say, there's the Syracuse we know and love when they're not in the Carrier Dome.
Yeah, and they're off a back-to-back, which is tough. I mean, if you're Jim Boeheim, I'm sure you didn't sleep a whole hell of a lot last night. I mean, maybe he's pretty old, so maybe he did. I don't know. But, I mean, this is a tough matchup, Donnie. I mean, Virginia just, as you said, they just take everything out of you. They don't let you do anything you want to do. They don't let you run. Shooting over them is a complete mess. And that was no more evident the first time they played. I mean, Syracuse just couldn't do anything. They couldn't make a shot. It was almost to a point, Donnie, where they just couldn't get shots up over the pack line. And this is not a good shooting team, Syracuse. I mean, they're 170th American three-point percentage, only shooting at about 33.5%. Not good enough. It's simple. If you can't shoot against the pack line, you're not going to win. It's no more simple than that. The problem that Syracuse has in this matchup as well is defensively. Virginia can shoot. And if you can shoot against the zone for Syracuse, you're going to win. And Virginia is a team that has the ability to make a ton of shots this year. They are so much better from three than they were in previous years. Sam Hauser and guys like that have really made this team just so much better on that end. I love Virginia. I've talked about it before. I love just how they play, how they defend, how they get kids to play defense. I think this is a game where I'm going to kind of fade the team that played well yesterday. This is a much different opponent. This is a much tougher opponent. I don't have any real belief that anything's going to be different from the first time these groups played. Virginia just are what they are. I think they have the real ability to bust up a zone, and I think they'll do so today. If I had to play this game, I would lay the 5.
You take a good look at that, too, because we do know Syracuse, it's tough to shoot the three with that matchup zone, but they give you a volume of chances. There's 15 teams in conference, Jeff. They are 13th at letting you shoot from the three-point line. And when you take a look at Virginia on the season, Jeff, in conference play, almost 40% from three. So they'll slow it down. Sometimes you get a bump from a team like Syracuse already playing in the tournament where Virginia has not, but we also seen it going against, specifically right in the ACC. UNC didn't play yet, dropped 100 going up against Notre Dame, who did play the night before in that venue. So we'll see what happens and takes place in that game. I'm looking forward to it there. 12 o'clock game.
Last night, you better believe Tony Bennett and that group was watching that game, the Syracuse game, whatever that was, early. Yeah, they were watching that. They'll be ready to go. Do you have any interest, Donnie, ever in betting against Virginia? I don't.
It's hard. And people always look at and you say like, oh my God, 132 is not that much. Syracuse can score. They're the most maddening games because me and Jeff have a lot of quirks, as do many sports gamblers. Like if I'm looking at a total in a Virginia game, they're so hard to watch. Specifically, even if you take like a team total against them or a Virginia team, hey, it's only 62. I'm not talking about today, but I'm just talking in general. They walk it up the court. They play great defense. If they get an offensive rebound, they kick it back out and restart their offense. It's maddening to watch.
If you've ever, and I've actually nerd-wise done this, yeah. I've watched the creator of the offense they run is Bennett's father, Dick Bennett. And, yes. And the offense is strictly built on taking as much time as possible because it's about finding a wide open look. Yes. That's the goal of the offense. And on defense, it's take as much time as you can as well. You want the other team to be so hot and bothered that they shoot up a bad shot because they have to, right? So, yeah, it's totals involving Virginia games. If you're looking to bet overs, you can do it. I'm never going to tell you not to. If you like something, bet it, but you're going to be sick to your stomach watching it because they're just going to take forever.
You know what's funny about it, too? Because if you actually take a look, right, and if we equate it to just go play a pickup basketball game, 5-on-5, you have fun. You know what games are fun? When the other team comes down, has one pass, and jacks up a three so you get the ball back. You know what's not fun? When they dribble around for 45 seconds and eventually go, I don't feel like playing defense anymore, and then they get a layup because it's designed to also make you work extended motion on the one side of the court, and then you have to play both sides of the court. It's what works for Virginia. It's worked for a while in the ACC. I know a lot of people do root against, including myself, because, oh, man, Virginia's playing today. Why do I have to watch this? We'll see how it plays out.
Last thing I'll say, we have a little time. Yeah. Last thing I'll say, and I'm the opposite. I almost, and I don't want to get too, I'm not going to get graphic here, but I almost get excited, if you know what I mean, watching Virginia defend. And they're just incredible. I love watching it. And, at the end of the day, I have no interest in betting into it, so I'll gladly lay it if I had to here.
There you go. Noon start there in the ACC. Let's flip it over, Jeff, to the Big Ten. I'll set the table here for you. 673, 674 on the rotation. Minnesota and Ohio State. Looking at Fanduel currently right now. Heavy favorite, double digits here. Ohio State minus 11. And if we look across the board here at the total with Fanduel at a 145. Minnesota escapes yesterday. Obviously going to play a much more talented Ohio State team. In the Big Ten here, is Ohio State have enough cannons here to cover cover that double digits? Or is it one of those things, Jeff, hey, look, let's just survive. Let's move on and fight another day. What are we looking at here between Minnesota and Ohio State?
Yeah, this is a game that jumped out right away. Real quick, one other thing with Virginia done with the Syracuse bench.
Yeah.
Syracuse's bench, 344 in bench minutes. Jeez. Not ideal. They don't have many legs there.
No.
That's, again, not a team I want facing Syracuse or facing Virginia. Okay, Minnesota, Ohio State. Donnie, you know why Minnesota won yesterday?
Why?
Northwestern scored 46 points.
Stunk. You know what's funny about that, too, real quick? Because FanDuel, you get great options here on in-game wagering. I looked at that, and I'm like, you know what? I really like Northwestern. They come all the way back, and I blink an eye, and then they're losing again. So, yeah, go ahead on that. That was
Minnesota had 40 – or Northwestern had 46 points with 4 minutes to go. They didn't score the rest of the game. Got outscored 12-0 over the final 4 minutes and lost. Minnesota is walking the plank, Donnie. They missed falling.
Yeah.
But here comes someone to push them off, and this is the game because – Minnesota is just – they were lucky they faced Northwestern, who couldn't make a shot either. This is how it went. There's no Gabe Kauscher right now for Minnesota. Liam Robbins has been out. Minnesota, for the most part, has been a complete dumpster fire. I think this is where it gets rough because let's remember, they've played Ohio State way back on January 3rd in Minnesota, beat them up, Donnie, 77-60, okay? Ohio State has the opportunity now to come back in some revenge when it matters most. This Ohio State team that is really limping into the Big Ten tournament haven't looked very good. Okay, they had some time off, 5 days, kind of knew who their opponent would be here, I'd imagine. I think this is where they figure things out. I think they run away. It's a tough thing to do, lay double digits in a game like this.
Yeah.
But I think sometimes as you mentioned with Notre Dame last night, you get the high off beating a team maybe you probably should have beat, but they're not any good. Then you got to face
leveling up, and they got to level up in competition the next day.
Great work.
It's a good point you bring up. And we'll see how it plays out there at 2:00 here. And once again, if you're watching new to the channel, looking, saying, "Whoa, look at these guys back in action," you got it right here. The Hoops Betting Hour with Jeff Nadu, powered by Pickswise, and of course, in partnership with the Fanduel Sportsbook. Let's keep moving on here, Jeff. 7:00 tonight. I know you have a lot of interest in this one ball club here in the SEC, so let's set it up here. 7:05, 7:06 on the rotation, Georgia. And if you are a local, Jeff, it's Missouri, not Missouri. So if we look here, -5.5, we open up as a favorite for Missouri, -6.5 now. So some movement there. And how about this? You want scoring? You don't want to watch Virginia? 153.5. in this SEC tilt, Jeff.
Yeah, this is going to be my play of the day, Donnie.
Bingo.
On the video here.
Yes.
People asked for it. I'm going to go with Missouri here. I'm going to lay the price. This is a matchup that I really want. You look at Missouri, okay? Played Georgia a couple of weeks ago, lost by 10, okay? And you're thinking, how the hell did you lose to Georgia? Well, they didn't have Jeremiah Tillman, right? Jeremiah Tillman is 6'10". He's a giant. Then when you play a team like Georgia, okay, Tom Crean, one of the worst Power 5 coaches in America, has one way of playing basketball, and he will not change it. He is all about downhill basketball, getting into the teeth of the defense and scoring at the rim or getting to the line. You didn't have a big in there to bother anybody, okay? So you don't – losing a guy like Tillman is integral to their defense. It's like losing Taco Fall, Donnie. Remember when UCF had Taco Fall? When you lose a player like that,
a big man live. We did.
Yeah, it invites players to get into the rim and get into the teeth of the defense, and they start to score. If you turn Georgia into a zone team where they have to make shots, it's going to be a long afternoon, man. They don't shoot well. They can't make threes. It's not their game. Now that you have Tillman back, I think he really makes Missouri a different team. And against a team like Georgia, who, again, I want to make this clear, cannot do anything other than driving in and running in transition. They also, Donnie, are awful defensively. Awful. I mean, I saw them against Arkansas a couple of weeks ago. Just a dreadful team defensively. Yes. They get no stops.
And they foul.
Yeah. This is a guard-oriented opportunity. Drew Smith, Pinson, Mark Smith, all these guys. this is your opportunity to really dominate a team that you should take care of business in. This is a team where you match up really well. I think you really bother the opponent. As we know, as I said, Tillman makes this group just real solid in the middle. I think it's a long afternoon for Georgia. I'll lay it with Missouri.
What do you think about the total in this game, Jeff? Missouri just gets after Georgia's defense, close like 85 points, or do you think Missouri can slow down Georgia? Because 153, if you equate it again, because some people, well, was 153 a normal number? If you're looking at the NFL, Jeff, this is like a 55.5, you know?
It is, because Missouri is a team that was really going to make you kind of get out of your comfort zone offensively. So I don't think there's going to be a ton of scoring, Georgia. I think they kind of bogged down and just hit a wall. Problem that you have here, Donnie, is pace. Both teams go pretty fast. It wouldn't surprise me if Missouri win handily. I think Georgia's poor. Outside of Severe Wheeler, there's just not much talent on this team. And, you know, they don't defend. And, Donnie, they can give up 100 to any team. It's not out of the question. They've done it before. So I think that's the worry here. This is like 95-60 or something, or you know, something like that. Or 95-65, right? What's the total? 153? 95-60?
153.5, yes.
Yeah, This could be 95-60, where it's like it just finds its way over with Missouri scoring a ton of points. I think you stay away from the total. I think you kind of focus on Missouri stopping Georgia, which I think they can do. And I don't think Georgia can stop Missouri. I think it's a good matchup for Missouri. And they're in revenge. This time where you want to run.
39 likes already in the chat box. So when I come in later and people are watching on the replay, yes, you can still hit the thumbs up. We need that 100+ number in here. We've already got that, obviously, with people watching live. So we thank you for that. And also hit that subscribe button to keep the information flowing and turn the notification bell on, because sometimes, Jeff, like I still use an alarm to get up for the show, even though I know I'm usually up in time. But every once in a while, that alarm rings like, oh, thank goodness the alarm is there. Turn the notification bell on. Get this information delivered right to you. Said, I got to get in here and watch Donnie and Jeff.
This show, all right, is free, right? So when you come in here, you're getting good info. We're spending an hour every day giving you some of the best info you're going to find. You pick people's brains. You pick my brain, pick Donnie's brain. All we ask you to do, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, try to build this channel up so we get more content, which will lead to other folks coming on, doing other things. So, yeah, hit that subscribe button, show some love.
There you go. Let's start the last of Jeff's 4-pack today, and then we'll open up the card over the last 15 minutes and have some fun with the full board. 7-15, 7-16. How about this one, Jeff? We talk about a 12 o'clock noon start. Got college basketball on all day. This is a 9:30 start. Texas Tech, Texas. If we look at the opening number with FanDuel, -2 as a favorite for Texas Tech, that is now a 1.5. And we do have some movement on the total as well, Jeff. Opened up at a 136. We've seen a downshift at FanDuel to 134.5. Texas Tech, Texas.
Hard to beat a team 3 times. Texas Tech trying to do that today, right? Beat them 79-77 in the first game. 68-59 in the other game. But Texas getting a little momentum. They've won 4 or 5 overall, coming into this tournament, feeling pretty good about themselves. We talked about yesterday, Donnie, their ability just with the length that they have, the guard play. But Texas Tech really took a lot out of them. This is really a tough matchup for Texas all season. But when I look at Texas, I just don't feel like they're not a first-round exit team to me. I like Texas Tech a lot, and I think this game is really tough to decide on. But I think Texas is kind of a team that is going to go on a run. They're going to win some games that they shouldn't have. And I look back to the first time these groups played. I look at the box score, Donnie, and if you have it in front of you, I would urge you to look at it. I'm still trying to understand how Texas lost, and then I finally figured it out. Donnie, do you have the box score? Could you look at it?
I do not have the box score in front of me. No, I do not.
I was hoping you could look at it. And
I will look at it. Which thing are we looking at here?
79-77, January 13th. You don't have to look at it. I can tell you. Texas was 18 for 31 from the foul line, 58%, which is way off from where they normally shoot it.
Yeah.
I look at just how they played. They dominated the game. They've had games this year where they've dominated teams. They've played every team tough. They've had the ability to win games. They just couldn't find a way. And in the second game, I don't know what happened. They just didn't play well. I have a feel that Texas wins. I think it's a bad opinion as far as I just think they win because I have a feel. Texas just seems like the team tonight that gets the job done. I think they beat Texas Tech for the first time this season. We're not in Lubbock anymore, Donnie. This is on a neutral floor, which I think will help here. I think Texas is the better team. I think they get some revenge tonight and beat Texas Tech. It's just kind of an interesting game to me. It's not the strongest opinion I have, but I know that we have a lot of Texas Tech fans in the building, and I'm sure they'll want to hear just a little bit about this. I like Courtney Ramey a lot. I like the bigs for Texas. I don't think they'll shoot 18 for 31 or 18 for 27 like they did in the other games. I think they find a way to win tonight as a small dog.
Jeff, quick question as we start to open up the board. The Paul Ramirez says Missouri, team total over, look good then. If we take a look at FanDuel right now, Jeff, as we look, the over for the team total, or should I say the team total is 80 even. Missouri get over 80 versus Georgia today.
It should. I'm going to hope they do because I think that means a cover for me. I don't have any issue with it. I mean, as I said, when you're looking at team totals, you have to look at how these teams manufacture the points. So where does the scoring come from? And Missouri is a lot like Georgia, weirdly enough. They're very downhill reliant. They're very offensive rebound reliant, getting to the free throw line. They're not a jump shooting team, right? They don't. That's not their main source of scoring. You look at from a 3-point standpoint, 249 in point distribution from the 3-point line. It's just not their offense. Their offense is getting it into their bigs, creating it in the half court, getting to the tin, getting to the cup, making shots in the half court. And that's not Georgia's strong point. Georgia's 2-point defense is wretched. They're allowing opponents in conference to shoot almost 55% from the 2-point line. That is this team is bad defensively, really bad. Donnie, they gave up 115 points in 40 minutes to Alabama. They gave up 91 points to South Carolina in 40 minutes. They gave up 89. I mean, they're just they're wretched.
I see where you're going.
Wretched.
How about this? Let's open up the board here as well. Ryan Rossellini says the West Virginia-Oklahoma State rematch. Your thoughts, big man? Let me set it up for you. 709, 710. Oklahoma State, obviously, versus West Virginia. FanDuel opened up at a -2.5, Jeff, for West Virginia. That now sits at 3.5, and an over-under that opened up at 151 now sits at 150.5. Oklahoma State and West Virginia here, Jeff.
Yeah, eye test-wise, when I look at the number here, I lean WVU here. I think Oklahoma State's a polarizing team because I've heard a lot of love for the Cowboys, and they should get love. They've played very well. I mean,
they have.
Yeah, even without Cade Cunningham and Lika Lely and those guys, it's a tough game because West Virginia has been really 3-point reliant this season. It's kind of a weird year for that group. And I wonder about them defensively. I don't think Huggins has been very happy with their defense. They got ripped apart on March 6th against Oklahoma State, losing 85-80 without those two kids. Gave up 85 points. It's been, I think, a real point of contention for West Virginia. I think it's a tough game, but I think there's too many people that have fallen in love with Oklahoma State. And it might be a good bet. They might just be real good, but I don't know. Something tells me West Virginia just takes care of business. I don't know if they have a matchup down low for Culver. I think he could be kind of a difference maker here in this game. It's a tough game. It's a toss-up. I could see your reasoning. Sometimes a hot team's just hot. It doesn't have a ton of value to me. It's an early start as well. I lean West Virginia, but no real thought.
Picking out some of these games live from the chat box. Keep in mind also, it is a full board today. And tomorrow when we start doing shows, we don't have to really go over too many conference previews anymore. We can hit more of the live board. But also keep in mind, I stress this enough, if we can't get to your question live in the chat box, ask it in the comments section after the show. Big man will be around that, answering any questions you have going through the entire day. A great day of college hoops. So let's keep moving forward here. Jared Schrader says, can you go over, Michigan State and Maryland? Certainly. Let's set it up for you. 671, 672, 11:30 a.m. start between Michigan State and Maryland. If we take a look at FanDuel, opened up as a favorite for Maryland, -1.5. That now sits at 1. The over-under taking a dip here, Jeff. Opened at 131, now sits 129. Quickly, some thoughts on Michigan State and Maryland.
Yeah, I lean Michigan State here. I think Izzo's group is playing well. I like what I've seen out of them. This is just a complete coaching mismatch. It's just that simple. I mean, you have one of the worst coaches in America in Mark Turgeon, and you have, frankly, one of the best in Tom Izzo. We've talked about, hot. Michigan State's been pretty hot. I mean, outside of a loss to Maryland and to Michigan, nothing bad there. And then they came back and beat Michigan anyway. So all in all, this team's been hot. They've had some lineup changes that have seemed to work. Obviously featuring Aaron Henry a lot more. Rocket Watts has become kind of a solid guard for them all of a sudden. Maryland just doesn't do a whole lot for me, especially away from home. I want to take Michigan State here if I had to do it.
All right, let's keep speeding through here. Some, close to home thoughts here for at least me and Jeff. Sean Smith says thoughts on USF's first half at +0.5 against Temple. If we look at the lines here, Temple is a -2 favorite for the game at Fanduel. Money line -124 and a total of 132. Does Temple get the lead at the half, Jeff, or is USF going to have the lead at the half? Quick thoughts on that.
Yeah, shout out to Sean, nice guy. But I got to ask you, what the heck? Why do you actually want to bet this?
He's showing you love. He's showing us love, Jeff. He's like, I'm asking a Temple question. Answer.
Yeah, I get it. Look at both these teams. Just dreadful lately. South Florida. I don't know what the heck's been wrong with this team. They've gotten absolutely destroyed recently. Donnie, look at their last 4 games. They've gotten rolled. And
they're just looking for spring. They're looking for spring break and getting out of town, man. Hey, I got a free year. I can come back next year.
Yeah, the problem is, Yetna's been in and out all year. Brian Gregory. Yeah, Brian Gregory just doesn't have a ton of talent down there. And, Temple beat them up 65-47 back on February 24th. South Florida beat them 83. It's just a weird game. I have no idea. I wouldn't be betting South Florida right now. I just don't think they're very good. And I think Temple's got excitement a little bit around them, but yeah, avoid this game, man. I got to give you some credit for bringing it up.
No, yeah, that's great. We like to talk about this. Temple did have a key injury with a game-time decision, which I'm trying to scroll back through here on Twitter of who that was. But it was a double-digit score. It's slipping my mind who actually was the gentleman that
Damian Dunn.
There you go. You got it. Yeah. What do you think about that? If he plays it, because whenever I see, Jeff, a game-time decision, it's pretty clear to me he's not 100% healthy. So.
Yeah, and he's not. I don't know how much it matters, though, with Temple. He scored 22 points against Cincinnati, and they still lost. So, he's a guy that you want in there if you have him. But, he's a freshman. He's not a kid that, they have other guys. I don't think he's going to make or break whether Temple win or not against South Florida. But, I don't know why you'd want to bet this game.
Let's blast through a couple of these, Jeff. 175 people watching live here in the chat box. Thank you for doing that. Next week is going to be so much fun on the show, but that's next week. We still got Friday. We got some Saturday. We got some Sunday to get through and have a lot of fun right here on the Hoops Betting Hour with Jeff Nadu, powered by Pickswise and presented by the Fanduel Sportsbook. Jeff, we're going to go really quick here in the chat box to get through as many questions as we possibly can here. So let me just slide back to where I was. All right, real quick, Jeff. Connor Nolan, Kentucky show up today and start a run? Yes or no? Quick thoughts.
Can they show up and start a run? Well, sure, they can. I don't, I think Kentucky's shown you all year they probably won't.
A run to the tournament, Jeff. What do you think for Kentucky? Can they do it? Or is it just like, Kentucky showed what they are during the regular season. Don't buy in.
No, I wouldn't buy in. I'll tell you this game today is going to be a real rock fight. I lean under significantly. Yeah, I think this is first of 65 wins. These teams played each other early in the season, and if not for double overtime, the game is a stone cold under. You got screwed if you had the under in this game the first time. Double overtime was kind of rough. Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is a total rock fight. I don't think either team's very good offensively. Both teams solid on the defensive end. Mississippi State is it's not so much that they're not good on offense. They just can't hold on to the ball. A lot of possessions are have to be aborted quickly because they can't hold on to the ball. Like I said, I think this is first of 65 wins, a real tough one here to watch, but I think it's a good under game.
All right, quickly here, thoughts on Georgia Tech's chances in the ACC, specifically MPC Atlanta is probably thinking of the tournament. Georgia Tech, decent shot to win the ACC? What do you think?
Decent. No. No, I don't think they have a shot to win the ACC. No.
I think they were 10-1 before the tournament started there. So I bet like 5th or 6th in line, but we'll see about that. So let's keep going. We got you. Jeff doesn't think they have a chance at it. Over MSU versus Maryland. I guess Caroline Stansel's asking, can the game get over the 130s he has listed, Jeff? What do you think?
I don't play a lot of total. I mean, it has to be a stone cold bet under for me to bet under. I don't bet a lot of overs in conference tournaments. It's just I don't have there's just not a lot of success in it. Donnie is trying to get me to talk fast.
That's great. I just saw that because I'm trying to scroll as quickly because we only have a few moments here. So because the big man is chock full of knowledge, and we've all been here like, hey, Donnie, give me a quick reading on Kansas City. It's hard to give a 10-second answer.
Well, it is because it's
a great thing by Greg. That's such a funny thing because I'm trying to keep it moving, but there is so much information. It's funny stuff.
Yeah, and again, I think this is important to talk about. We don't have to really break down a lot of conferences going forward. So
correct.
More games to talk about, but let me put a bow on what I like here.
Go.
I like Missouri -6.5. I think they take care of business there. I really do. Somebody asked about Virginia. They might have missed our breakdown. I definitely lean with Virginia. I would go back and listen to that preview. We'll do one quick one. And do the Anteaters take care of Cal Poly a third time? Look, who asked it? Benjamin, I think.
Ben. Yep, Benjamin Susak.
Yeah. Look, Cal Poly is horrific. 2 games they played against Irvine, they couldn't score more than 50. It's hard to lay 20 though, and I think it's 20 the number. It's hard to lay 20 in a conference tournament game, but yeah, I mean, Cal Poly is as bad as it gets. I don't know how they score 50 in this game either. So
there you go, Jeff. We got an hour in, the full card. So much things to get to throughout the day. Thank you guys for bringing it in the chat box. A lot of people each and every day, Jeff. More subscriptions, more live watchers, and we aren't even into the big dance just yet. We're going to have a great time on the show. And as we always like to end it, Jeff, leave them with something. What do they got?
Somebody's asking, where do you find injury updates? The same
Twitter.
place I do. Yeah, try to find them. Nobody's giving you them. No. Thanks for listening, everybody. As always, as Donnie said, hit the subscribe button if you like the show. We always have more live people in here every day, which I like to see. Thanks for listening. We'll see you tomorrow, Friday. Another big day of college hoops action, 9 a.m. Make sure you're here. Pickswise, powered by Fanduel. Everyone have a great night. Thanks for listening. Good luck.